Hello, my name is Avra Sidiropoulou and I'm a theatre director and assistant professor in the MA program of theatre studies at the Open University of Cyprus. I am originally from Greece, but I've worked internationally and have lectured on directing theatre and practice in various parts of the world. I have just published a book entitled Directions for Directing Theatre and Methods. It is now out by Routledge, which lays out the fundamentals of the directing art and the directing craft. This book is aimed not just to theatre directors, but to really anybody involved in the theatre business, be it the playwright, dramaturg, and of course the set, lighting, costume, sound designer, and so forth. In fact, it is addressed to any involved and informed theatre goer whatsoever. My book tries to remain in keeping with the dual nature of directing. On the one hand, as a philosophical and aesthetic pursuit that needs to be cultivated, and on the other hand, as a craft that has a lot of technical and practical aspects that need to be taught. I studied directing at Columbia University, New York, and I was fortunate enough to learn firsthand that directing indeed can be taught. Now, many people argue that directing is all about instinct and therefore can never be taught, but I tend to disagree. Much as directing is about instinct, it is also about a concrete methodology, about having specific skills. Therefore, it can, of course, be taught. It is about having a good control of the stage, learning to handle all sorts of crises in rehearsal, dealing with different groups of people, and also delivering your vision with persuasion and with efficiency. Now, why are we so drawn to directing? I think directing is a leap into the unknown. It is an encounter with someone else's world, which nevertheless makes you look back into yourself. So directing is a way to connect with the world, but also examine ourselves more carefully and in greater depth. The allure of the directing profession is, I think, no accident. As I said, directing is about creating new worlds, and as such, it gives us the opportunity to experience things that we wouldn't have been able to experience in different circumstances. I think it's also an extremely generous and virtually inexhaustible art, and the existence of so many different methodologies and styles can testify to that. There are as many different ways to communicate and to create as there are actually artists working in the theatre. Directors relate to their material through different means and different mediums. As a director, you operate on inspiration. Now, this is in fact the real fuel that gets our engine going. We cannot inspire others unless we ourselves feel inspired by whatever there is in hand. Performances can be powerful triggers of inspiration for the audiences and of course for the actors and all the other collaborators who are involved in it. They can invite us to think, to share, to experience very meaningful emotions and be ready to take action, whether this is a physical action as go out into the world and do good, or an inner action as looking back into yourself and realizing things that you didn't know were there. In any theatre project, there is a collision between the text and the world of the text and the artists who are involved with it, in this case the director. This feels a little bit like love at first sight, It is a kind of state that feels like we're drunk, and we are very excited to embark on the journey of directing. And by doing so, we fire up a number of unconscious reverberations. So I think that directing is about passion and it is about instinct, but also it is about cognition and method. And in that sense, we have to be very careful not to separate the two aspects of the directing art, both as an art in itself and, as I said before, as a craft. The one thing, however, that I feel relates to any creative project, and in this case I'm not just speaking of directing, but it can be any other aspect of theater, is the connection that the artist feels to the material. And this connection has to do a lot with meaningfulness, and meaningfulness has to do with being able to relate to your material and what you bring out to the world. It communicates a certain kind of urgency and relevance. Why are we doing this particular play in this particular moment in time? This is a question that every director will need to confront right from the beginning of the project. So what directing does, I think, is ultimately forcing us to step outside our comfort zones and deal with the world. In some sense, it makes us think how history, culture, and this global scope of our contemporary experience affects us on a personal level, but also affects other people. So it is an art that brings us into close contact with society, and we have to serve it as such. As directors, we constantly balance between the pragmatics of production and the fleeting nature of imagination. And we've got to find ways to keep our team together, interested, involved. How do we do that? Well, there's things like having learned good lessons in rehearsal about how to handle difficult situations and deal with different problems at all times. But I think what's more important than anything else is to make everybody feel that they are committed to the one same vision to which you are also committed, so that everybody is operating from the same source and working towards the same result. And also make everyone feel that their contribution is just as important as your own contribution. I think we're past the stage of director's theater, where the director is the just one and only authoritative figure in the room, and writing the performance text is a joint, obviously, affair. Therefore, it is very important to get everybody to feel that they are involved and that they are just as much in this as you are. So ultimately, we've got to be both leaders and collaborators. And how do we do that? Well, the only way I think we can do that is to communicate the force of our own commitment and our passion. Keep everybody inspired, keep the inspiration flow going, and make sure you address every single problem as soon as it appears. After all, the production is no unilateral reading of one single mind. It is a creative product, a mental product that has been distilled through the creative contributions of several different people, starting from the playwright, when and where there is one, and going through the turbulence of the design team, and finally being filtered by what each individual audience member feels about the project. In a sense, the spectator is co-authoring the performance together with everyone else.
άντρας πάλι, ο άντρας μου επέστρεψε. Εγώ γυναίκα πάλι. Η μέρα, η ώρα, η αναχώρηση, μια υπόσχεση, μια ελπίδα. 10 χρόνια που φεύγεις, η απουσία σου. Σύντροφος εφιάλτης της νύχτες του πολέμου και ο ερχομός σου φορτωμένος με την βεβαιότητα του κινδύνου, τη βιαιότητα. Δείξτε σε εκείνον που το σπαθί του σήκωσε σίδερο φόνου πάνω στη δική του. Κόρη μου, θα το κάνω. Τον εχθρό θα σκοτώσω, φτάνει. Μια τις αναμνήσεις θα αφήσω πίσω μου, θα τις τσαλαπατήσω με απόλυτη ακρίβεια, θα τις δολοφονήσω.
Το πρωί ξύπνησα γύρω στις 8 και στο δωμάτιο ήταν ήδη φωτεινά. Άνοιξα απότομα τα μάτια μου και κοίταξα τριγύρω. Αυτή ήταν όρθια. Πλάι στο τραπέζι και κρατούσε το περίσσικο στα χέρια. Δεν με είδε που είχα ξυπνήσει και την είδα. Ξαφνικά βλέπω να γυρνάει προς το μέρος μου και να έρχεται. Εγώ κλείνω τα μάτια και κάνω πως κοιμάμαι. Άκουγα τα πάντα, ενώ υπήρχε απόλυτη σιωπή, εγώ αυτή τη σιωπή την άκουγα. Ξαφνικά χωρίς να το θέλω ανοίγω απότομα τα μάτια μου. Αυτή με κοίταζε κακάμανα και το περίσσωρο που ήταν ήδη στο μέτωπό μου.
Κοιταχτήκαμε για λιγότερο από μια στιγμή.
Εγώ έκλεισα τα μάτια ξαφνικά και αποφάσισα από όλη τη δύναμη της ψυχής μου να μην ανοίξω ό,τι ασυπεί.
Συμβαίνει καμιά φορά όταν κάποιος βρίσκεται σε βαθύ ύπνο να ανοίξει ξαφνικά τα μάτια. Ακόμα και να σηκώσει το κεφάλι από το μαξιλάρι και ύστερα να κλείσει τα μάτια και να μην θυμάται τίποτα.
Άρα θα μπορούσε κάλλιστα να υποθέσει ότι εγώ κοιμάμαι. Πολύ περισσότερο έχοντας δει αυτό που είδα.
Ήταν τελείως απίθανο να κοιμάται στα αλήθεια. Είστε ευτυχισμένοι, κυρία? Ναι, κυρία. Ο κύριος έπρεπε να έχει έρθει από καιρό να σας ζητήσει συγγνώμη. Ναι, κυρία. Πήγαινε τώρα.
Your story, your eyes seduce, your body revolts, devours. I envy you, life and your pain, and your long, beautiful hair. And the city was captured. Taken. Yes, it was taken.
Attacked me back, blamed me for deserting her, locking her, mutilating her, cutting her tongue, bleeding her to nothingness, and so she
istedi eskisinden. Ve öldürmemi onu. Kızımın katilini, ruhumun katilini. Onu ve anısını Yasemin süslü beyaz elbisenin, ışığın içinden sonsuz ölüme yürüyen.
Be done with him and the memory of the creamy lace dress with the jasmine trim, walking through light to return. Walk the walk of pride, anger, despair, desire, pain, desire no lust, just vengeance, kill the man, kill the girl, kill them all. The ship must sail for Troy, the ship must leave from our list. Raise the sword, leader, raise the sword, mother, bring it down, him who raised it against him. Korimo, Satokano,
Kızım, yapacağım.
daughter, I will.
Acını öldüreceğim kızım, düşmanı yere sereceğim. Birer birer bütün hatıraları geride bırakıyorum. Birer birer ayaklarımın altına alıp ezeceğim onları, üstüne tükürüp öldüreceğim hepsini. Şimdi giriyorum içeri.
In the top red drops of sorrow,
Karşı sıcak su.
run deep rivers of vengeance.
Git hadi kolum, düşmana işkence et.
Satokano, the failed to provide enough of his all. Your front not scared, down sharp kılıç. Texas.
Kurnaz bir dokunuş.
Cunning stroke.
Kurnaz bir darbe.
Darkness, silly,
Dingin karanlık.